Elektra has slipped into the US president's security. She quietly walks through his hotel suites until she discovers him laying in the bed. As she slips through the shadows, she is suddenly bathed in light, and she looks up in surprise to see Iron Man floating just outside of the president's window. "Hey, Daredevil, step away from the president," and he fires a laser through the window, which Elektra dodges. She rushes back out into the hallway with Iron Man smashing through the window pursuing her. But you're probably wondering how Elektra got here. Well, let's go to the beginning of the story, because the Daredevil story is ramping up, but how did we get here? Well, Daredevil thought he killed a man, ended up in prison, became bonded with the symbiote, allowed Elektra to become the new Daredevil, came back to being Daredevil alongside her, then he defeated villains that he discovered were orchestrating everything. The Strom wins. Kingpin then realized that Daredevil had removed his memory of Daredevil's true identity and took over New York as the new mayor, making being superhero a crime. Daredevil stopped that and then took up Elektra's offer to become the King of the Fist with her as his queen. We've caught up, but now Daredevil has moved forward and begun to rule his kingdom as the king. On top of that, his guardian angel has now told him that God has better plans for him, meaning Daredevil's got a lot of things going on very soon. So let's get into issue 5. This is Comicstorian. We make audio dramas of your favorite comic books so that you know what to add to your collection, and today we're going to be continuing Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil storyline. The day after their marriage, Foggy is leaping around the compound, laughing as he gets to experience what it is like having superpowers. "Cole, can you believe this?" he shouts at his new friend, but Matt walks into the training compound. "You're both members of the Fist now, and membership has its privileges. Enjoy it," Matt tells them. But it's Cole that points out how unnatural this all feels. "I'm supposed to be here to make sure you don't go too far, and these abilities feel like you're going too far." Matt nods, pointing out that all superheroes are unnatural if you have a limited view of what is natural. Inside their command center, Elektra is talking to Stick. "The Book of the Fist is rewriting itself?" she asks. "It's revealing itself, since you and the boy enacted the ceremony," Stick explains with a shake of his head. He explains that the text is no longer needed to be translated, as it is showing them things about both the fist and the hand. So of course, Stick and I are relying on one of us with a working vision to relay what the book is trying to tell us, Matt says as he walks into the room. Elektra begins to read it, explaining that the Fists are now using resurrection abilities to banish a body's soul to the afterlife while giving them full control of it. They've been using it already to replace the leaders of the physical world, to bring about the end and the rise of the beast, she tells them. And Matt is surprised that Frank Castle would go along with such a plan, but Stick points out that he might not know the full extent of Aka's evil doing. You see, the Punisher is now the leader of the Hand. Matt pulls back his mask, asking Elektra to join him for his next mission. "After tomorrow, the Hand will have nowhere else to hide, because we'll have an army." So that night, Matt, Elektra, and the rest of the Fist land on a secret location, the Supermax prison in the middle of the ocean. Members of the Fist move quickly, slipping through the shadows, taking out the prison security, making sure not to kill anyone under Matt's orders. Matt makes his way to the command center, deactivating the prison's C block, and he reaches for the comm system. "You don't belong here, but you're unwell. You can't go home just yet. You need help. You don't know it, but you do. That's why I'm here, to give you a choice. You're at sea and there's no direction to go that doesn't end in death, but if you come with us, we'll help you get better. We'll show you a different way," Matt tells the prisoners as their cell doors open. They all step out and are greeted by Elektra and the Fist. Meanwhile, John Walker is leading a security team to the command center, but they stop as Daredevil steps into the corridor. "John Walker, you're heading up the Thunderbolts during Fisk's final days. Is this where your heart lies, to throw in with the fascists? If you come with me, maybe I can save you," Matt tells him. But Walker shakes his head, raising his shield. "Daredevil, don't need no saving. I'm right with God," he says as he prepares to attack, but Matt holds up a remote and kills the lights, plunging the corridor into darkness. "If you were, he wouldn't have sent the devil," Daredevil whispers. Walker moves fast, throwing his shield, unaware that Daredevil can see him with his extra senses. Matt leaps over the attack, grabbing the shield, using it to quickly cut through the soldiers until only Walker is left standing. The lights come back on, and Walker looks at all of his downed men, with Daredevil standing calmly holding his shield. And the two rush at each other, with Daredevil easily dodging Walker's attacks, dropping him. "You should correct your life in this world. Maybe the next one won't judge you. Goodbye, John." Daredevil says as he retrieves the shield and leaves Walker a bloody mess on the floor. Matt makes his way through the prison to the evac point, but he stops as he finds someone else waiting in their cell. Hello, Matt. Is this supposed to happen? I can't tell anymore. Goldie, the man who claims to be Matt's actual guardian angel, says. Matt walks up to the cell, speechless to see his old friend. Are you here to free me, so I can help you get to where you need to be? And Matt stares at him. It's later that Tony Stark and Steve Rogers review the tapes of the prison break, and Tony explains that 15 supervillains were freed from the Myrmidon, and they can't be located. Some great ninja work, which makes it even stranger that we caught them on camera. It's almost like Daredevil wanted us to know. Tony says as they both watch Daredevil turn and look directly at the camera. Steve Rogers nods and sighs. Alert the Avengers, Tony. We're gonna bring Daredevil in. And so the work begins. The criminals brought to the Fisk Island begin their therapy sessions with Doc Samson, trying to get to the root of why they have and continue to turn to a life of crime. Things seem to be going well until the criminal known as Agony, bonded with the symbiote, attacks Doc Samson. She threatens to eat his tongue if he isn't quiet. Don't, Daredevil says to Agony as she throws Samson through a wall into the training grounds. You've suffered violence. You reflected it outward, but now, here, you'll only suffer care. Daredevil tells her. He avoids Agony's attacks, and she finally calms down, growling at him before turning and walking away. The island is torture! Daredevil turns back to Samson, thanking him for his work. The gamma-irradiated doctor smiling, informing him that things are actually going quite well. Daredevil nods, telling Samson that it is the sun and island air that is helping bring peace to the criminals, wondering how anyone thinks that shoving them into a box is going to help them get better. Nobody wants us to get better, they want us to be punished. This is just a game, Daredevil. You try to change the game, they're gonna slap you down. Bullet tells Daredevil from his place leaning against a nearby wall. The two begin to talk, with Daredevil explaining the purpose of the island, trying to show the criminals a better way. Bullet finally relents, but reminds Daredevil that he has only made the criminals fugitives by breaking them out. Meanwhile, at the G8 summit in France, Elektra has slipped into the US president's security. She quietly walks through his hotel suites until she discovers him laying in the bed. As she slips through the shadows, she is suddenly bathed in light, and she looks up in surprise to see Iron Man floating just outside of the president's window. Hey, Daredevil, step away from the president. And he fires a laser through the window, which Elektra dodges. She rushes back out into the hallway, with Iron Man smashing through the window, pursuing her. But Elektra whirls around as Iron Man steps into the hall. She holds up the tech psi that Tony gave her. Stark, thanks again for these, she says as she clashes them together, sending out a shockwave that knocks Tony away. He tries to reason with her, but two-fist ninjas appear behind him, stabbing through his armor. He drops to his knees, shocked, and Elektra steps past him. Simkarian steel, 1 nanometer thick at its edge. The blade will always find a way in. She tells him, and she walks back into the president's room, who is backing towards the shattered window, begging for his life. Are you him? Or are you just his shell? Tell me who you are, she hisses, and the president suddenly smiles. I am the president, and I'm in hell. He growls before backing out the window, plummeting towards a car below, smashing onto its roof with his body. Elektra leaps down after him, and as she approaches his body, she leans in as the voice of Akka comes out of his mouth. It's too late, daughter of the hand, traitor to the beast. We have them all, and soon we'll have you. On the fields of Oshara, one of you will die. Akka whispers as the president dissolves into ash. Elektra looks up as the civilians begin to surround her, filming her on their phones. Back at the island, Daredevil goes to the cliffside and speaks with Goldie, where Daredevil informs him that he is finally walking his own path, finally making his own choices. Goldie smiles, questioning whether Matt really believes that. But back in the secret lair of the Hand, Frank Castle sharpens the blades that the Hand has given him. He's aware that Akka is trying to lure the Fist to Yashura, alongside the criminals that they have freed. Ready my army! Those murderers need to be punished, he orders his lieutenants. The story of Matt will continue right here at Comicstorian, so make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because this story is to be continued.